All right. Our next guest and the guest of honor. We all know everything he's done, but there was a point where I versatile individuals in entertainment. He is here with us. Farhan Akhtar, ladies and gentlemen. So, quite a few years back, and it's been something which has been festering in your mind for a while. You had an opening scene, which is, I think, the prologue of the book. And so, what's been the process from there till here?
Yeah, so I remember starting off with an idea about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and our good friend and collaborator of many projects and all sorts of things, Somil, and I sort of thought we should write a screenplay and try and attempt a film on this subject. It was a bit of a statement we wanted to make. It was highly political. It was highly well, sensitive, I guess, at some level. And we started writing it as a film. We got pretty far, and then 2014 happened, and the government changed, and the country changed, and somehow we just knew that this film is not going to get made anytime soon. So we kind of abandoned that project at that point. But I felt, in the publishing world, we can still get away with a lot because, unfortunately, or fortunately, we don't have too many readers who have too many opinions all the time, like the way they have on film and cinema. So I thought, let me just go sort of under the radar and still get those ideas out in as clear a manner as possible. And so that's why I took Somil's permission to write a book on it, and he let me have it, and I did.
And we're here today. So that was great. Was there any event that has inspired or triggered your curiosity? A particular event that comes to you?
I think every day there are events in Kashmir, and I think we are all part of it. We are all in it. Kashmir is our problem. People don't, it's very easy to sit away from our country's issues and speculate, but I think it's very immediate. It's right. It's something that's very palpable. So there's not one event, but the more you get into it, the more you read about it and what's happening, and try and see the different points of view. I think anyone with any kind of creative streak has something to say about it.
So, as a writer, you all are both prolific writers now, and so how does your process go about? When you have to write a book, writing a film is a lot of people get involved. There's a collaboration that happens, but in a book, it's just you alone, kind of just going down with it. So, please tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy writing. That's my favorite process of filmmaking also, amongst so many things that happen in film. And one of the most fun things about writing and collaborative writing, especially like in a writer's room sort of setup, is it's a lot of physical workout because you end up beating the other guys up for like that one line or that one idea, and you're always wrestling, and you are walking out and throwing things and throwing tantrums. So that's really fun, and it's for the best. I mean, you just get the best of the ideas sort of filtering through, right? With the book, I just wanted to try something, so I just locked myself up in a room for a while, on and off, in between filming or writing other things, and I just let it come together like the way I wanted it, and I didn't get too many opinions on it, like unlike film where a lot of people have a say in what you're writing and things, because it's reaching out to a much larger audience. There's a lot more at stake over there. So I just wanted to do this in my little personal way. This is my thing. I just wanted to get it out. It's incredibly lonely and and you're just tearing yourself up, and you have a lot of self-doubt sort of creeping in at every moment. I think there are lots of writers here, so they know what I'm talking about, and you just have to go with it.
Sorry, but if I may add, I feel like as lonely as the process is physically, you're never really alone, because you're constantly with the characters that you're writing. And like he said, I mean, like you argue with, if you're working with co-writers, you argue and you debate with them. Similarly with characters when you're writing, you know, I mean, the same thing happens even with that, because at times you'll write stuff and then you come back the next day and you know you read a page and you're like, yeah, what is this? You know what's going on. So it's and you actually are hardest on yourself in writing. You know, when you're directing, which I mean Karan also has done very successfully, when you're directing, the thing is that there's so many other people involved that you actually end up doing the best that you possibly can given everybody's temperament and given everybody's aesthetic and sense of performance. There's only that much you can do.
Right.
But when you're writing, you're really, really hard on yourself. You know, like the critical factor should really be up there, because you only have yourself, you know,
as a judge,
absolutely,
as the best judge.
So the more time you give and the more effort you put and the more you're willing to grapple with those ideas, you know, and just really, really try to get the best out of what you want. It's tedious, but I mean it's an amazing process when it comes together well.
So what's the one thing about his writing style that you really like?
Well, it's
Storytelling ability.
I think it's unique. You know, I think what does set him apart, whether it's the film that he wrote for us, it's the show that he's done, and now this book. I think what he has, his unique voice. You know, and I think that's the most important thing that you can look for in any kind of creative force. It's very easy to write scripts that are doing the rounds right now. You know, aaj love stories chal rahi hai, come on, let's write a love story. Now thrillers are working, chalo, let's write a thriller. Comedies are the flavor of the season, let's get, you know what I mean? It's very easy to do that. Good and bad is a separate issue, but it's easier to do it because everyone's doing it. You know, so you can fit in more easily. But if you're choosing to do things that are different from what is happening, and you know that there is a certain risk involved, and when that risk does pay off, like I think on a huge level when they came to us with Inside Edge, you know, and the story that they had created, it was very risky, you know, and we knew that there'll be certain feathers that might get ruffled along the process of doing it. But there was a serious belief in the material that he had written, and he had a vision for how he wanted to make it. And the writing was something that you don't get to read in at least in the Indian web series or TV series context. So that bravado, you know, and that unique style, I think is definitely his USP for writing.
Mike's kind of gone.
Thanks.
But no, it's okay. So Karan, this actually started off as a film script, and would you ever like to make a film out of this, or would you want to do a series out of it?
Yeah, right now I'm super disillusioned with the whole film scene. Sorry, but it's. I just enjoy this whole series thing a lot. It's like, why tell a story in 2 hours when you have 10 hours to develop your characters, and they don't even have to go from like a start to an end, you know, and all films sort of follow some kind of formula, whether it's like a setup and then you have a crisis coming in, you have a resolution and then you have a climax. So none of that applies in a series. Yeah, and then you have to do many things around it, like, you know, like put in songs and things like that. Not always, but the bigger the film, the more safe I think you have to be with it. I think with the series there's a lot less pressure, and above all, I think it's just so much. It's easier in terms of how liberating it is without Palaj Nani sort of looking over your shoulder, and you know, even while writing a script, you're thinking what will the censor board say about it, and just the natural way I think people speak, for example, you want to capture that. You can't do that in film or screenwriting, I think, enough. So there's a certain template that goes into filmmaking because of many extraneous factors that should not be there in the first place, especially with censorship. And I think that, well, so far there's none of that happening. So yeah, so any day I think a book like this would make a very interesting series, like in the Homeland kind of space.
So I thought the end of the book was kind of lend itself to a sequel organically. So what's the plan there?
There is no plan. There's never a plan.
I smell a franchise.
I remember we have this conversation at the end of every film. Yeah, so.
But you end your stuff like that, even in
yeah, well,
Inside Edge.
yeah. No, Inside Edge for sure there's going to be a second season, because
Yeah,
we
for
we want that too.
Inside Edge has a season 2, guys.
Officially.
Yes, it's official now. Okay. So this could
Maybe, never say never.
all right. So we have a little thing which is kind of written for the book, which I'm going to read out as a trailer for a movie. And I'm just gonna say it, okay? Kashmirnama's quest is to answer that one question, which the citizens of India, Pakistan, and even the world are now grappling to answer. What is the cost of Kashmir? I think, but I don't know. All right, sorry. I know what that sounded like. I have no clue what that sounded like. I've never heard that voice before myself.
All I can say is that you all didn't need to wait for me. You all could have started early.
Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.